So, do lucky things happen in life? And I think we're at a stage to suggest yes, there is luck that's actually involved in a number of different things that happen in your life. I think researchers that study this, right? I'm a business professor. It's kind of a question that we are concerned with or thinking about. And I think at one point in recent history, people would not account for luck, or they wouldn't think about it in the sense that, like, acknowledging that sort of just weird things happen that are, um, that are kind of out of the normal, that will result in somebody being either spectacularly better off or worse off. Um, but I think we're at a stage at this moment where we can kind of acknowledge that these lucky moments actually happen. And I was listening to some music right now, and I was thinking about how is it that some musicians, they have one song and everybody listens to it, but then others will have a longevity of songs. And I think it's not necessarily just the sort of lucky scenario, right? It's not necessarily that they just have this one particular music, this one particular song that just kind of goes crazy and everybody listens to it. That does happen. But there's also the scenario where people are kind of mismanaging or not uh, not accounting for what it actually takes to sort of build a career over time, right? So you have this sort of lucky scenario where something really goes off, and becomes a sort of thing, but then you still have to manage and build a career, right? So it's this happens actually a fair bit with this sort of social media stuff as well. Every once in a while, I'll get something that will take off, and I'll be like, "Oh, that was really crazy." See, it's what ends up happening is that was crazy, and there is a lot of like lots of people like it, and lots of people hate it, and then as a consequence, they sort of hate the person that's talking about it. Um, but there's these moments where that does happen. But if you look at what I've been doing and talking about is that this is an everyday, just putting in a little bit of time here and there, all the time kind of thing. And it's this sort of cultivating and thinking about the longevity of things that actually happen. So it's not necessarily, yes, there's those sort of moments where things just go crazy, right? I think about there's clip there's all of these sort of clips that are online where you see this one-off thing, um, but then there's also building and developing and nurturing what you actually do as a craft. And I think all of us do that, right? We all have different elements of what this sort of craftness thing is. In my line of work, it's a little bit more, you know talkative, I guess, like this. Um, but in a lot of people's work, there's just nurturing that happens, and I think we forget about that aspect of things, and we think that once we have one particular moment of success, like things go crazy, that's the end of it, right? We're sort of enjoying the high life after that. But that's not what actually typically happens. And some people can enjoy a high life after something that went, more successful than they thought it would. Um, but for the most part, if you're going to treat yourself as a professional in a particular area, it requires just working at it, right? And I think that there is a lot of people that are in, actresses and actors and things that have positioned themselves where they actually are doing this for a long time. And I think that that is a sort of wise way to treat what you're actually doing and getting into different forays that are related. It's pretty fun to see those things, but it's still, the idea is often having the they in psychology they talk about self-regulation, the ability to sort of manage the process and manage your emotions, manage the sort of craziness that might happen from it, um, where you don't take yourself so seriously, but also, you take yourself very seriously. And it seems like a really weird sort of contradiction when I'm talking about that, and it doesn't quite make sense. But, on one end, you're thinking about, I'm going to do this as like a serious thing. This is my profession. This is what I do. And then on the other side, it's like, if it goes crazy, right? And you get a lot of like flack, then you just don't take it so seriously, right? Or if it goes crazy and you get a lot of fanfare, then you're like, whatever, like, this is just a couple of things that people have said. Um, and I think like these moments, right, sort of balancing this is important, right? Where you're thinking in your head that I'm gonna take this seriously and keep going with it. And I think a lot of moments, right, a lot of things when I see different people in different sort of career positions in different aspects of their life, um, if you have that kind of like belief, right, like you are, this is very serious, but at the same time, like, what the hell, who cares, right? Like, there's no biggie. Um, then you seem to manage who you are. You seem to manage everything, the sort of pressures of it, a lot better than if you're sort of off the mark with any of that, right? And I think that is my objective, is to keep not so serious, but to keep serious. And it's so silly to say this kind of thing, but it's a realization on both of those, right? It's a realization that there is a lot of luck involved. It's also the realization, like, who the hell are you? Who cares? Um, your family is there to keep yourself grounded. But also, like, when things go bad, and they do, right? And it's not fun, um, where you're like, oh, like, who cares? Let's get back up again. Let's do this thing. And that managing all of that is not easy, right? Where you are okay with who you are, but you're still going to get up and do it anyways. Um, that's where I think actually the one hit wonder sort of phenomenon happens a lot more, is not necessarily that they get, unbelievable success right very early, which does happen, but then there's also the element of, how am I going to manage this and manage who I am so I can keep going and enjoy everything about me. All right. So take care and have a wonderful day.